Hey guys, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I'm going to show you how to create a recessed window on this 5x7 card using some new Lovely Layers products. So I am using a rectangle from the Sweet Stacks rectangle, and it's about the size of the Lovely Layers tank die, because I want to create a window in the front panel of the card, and then I want to lay the tank die cut on top of. So I don't want my rectangle to be bigger than my fish tank, but this one is the exact same size. So again, from the Sweet Stacks rectangles, it is going to fit, when I tell you just barely perfectly, just barely perfectly. So I'm going to die cut that out of my white cardstock that is trimmed down to a 5x7, because this is going to be a 5x7 card. This would not have worked on an A2 size because the tank itself is just A2 sized. So then I have a back piece that is going to be the sand and water for our aquarium, our tank. So I'm ink blending that with some Distress Oxide inks in antique linen, and then I'm adding some walnut stain, and then the water will be Mermaid Lagoon. I'm treating it like a little ocean scene, even though it's a fish tank scene. So I'm also going to be using the Lovely Layers fish and the Lovely Layers Tank Aquarium Add-On. So that has all of the plants, and I think there's a little castle in it. I used the shipwrecked boat. So that's what I'm going to use there. I'm going to splatter this background with some water, and then I'm just going to pat that dry. Then I'm going to splatter the background with Distress Oxide spray in Salvaged Patina, just to give the water something extra, just a little bit something extra. So I did big dots of water, and then like I said, I'm just going to pat that dry, and then I can use the Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide ink. I gave it a really good shake, and then I'm going to open it up and just splatter it. I'm not going to spray it because I just want some dots on the background, just some splatter. I'm going to put that aside. I have die cut all of my images from white cardstock, and I'm going to color these with some alcohol ink markers. I'm using Copic markers. So these right here, this and the plants, are the Lovely Layers Tank Aquarium Add-On. So with this recessed window, all of the images are going to be behind the front panel, if that makes sense, other than the frame of the fish tank. And I thought it's a really cute idea because you can do it this way and make it 3D and put it on top of your card panel, but I thought it would be fun to kind of inlay it into the card panel. We still get tons of dimension, and I'm going to show you how I did that. Really super easy. You could also turn this into a shaker card just by adding a piece of acetate, but I didn't want that. I did want this open, and I really love how it turned out. So now I'm getting my boat pieces. That's a little piece of sand here, just coloring with some browns. I do end up having to color another little piece on one of the boats because I don't know what I was thinking of just coloring around the edges. And then there's some little windows that you can just kind of pop out, some little holes. And then this goes together really nice and easy. You could also, if you didn't want to use markers, you could ink blend these images. You could use a watercolor marker. You could use colored pencils. You could do anything that you wanted with this. If you do watercolor markers, then use a watercolor paper. There's that little spot that I totally forgot to color. So I'm going to color that and adhere that down. And I do want to color my edges of this because it's pretty thick and I don't want to see the white edges. So I'm going to take that dark marker. Sorry, my hand is out of view, but I'm coloring all the edges. Let me finish with these next little pieces here. We have the rim there to that boat, the edge, and then you have the pieces that go on to the back. Really nothing fancy, but super cute. I always say this to you guys, I love Lovely Layers dies. I just think Honeybee does such a great job thinking about the images and thinking about the layers and how things are going to look. I'm going to take that darker marker and go over, because this does emboss some areas with these die cuts as well. So you get a die cut and you get some embossed things on there, some little embossed images. Now I'm going to color my coral. I'm sorry I didn't leave the lid up. I don't know what color that is. I apologize. But it's kind of a corally pink, and then I'm going to bring in a little bit of a pinky red, and then I'm gonna, there we go, there's the first color, and then I'm gonna blend that out. And then I've got some green. I use all of these that I've colored except for one. I'm gonna do these guys a bit of a darker, but also kind of a bright green. And then those other two plants, I only end up using one of those, but I do like to die cut more and not use it than not have die cut enough, because it kind of drives me nutty if I have to go back and die cut everything. When I'm already past that point and I've already done all of my die cutting, I don't want to have to do it again. So I'd rather have more, and you can always just put it in your packaging and save it for later. Now these are the lovely layer fish. I did 4 of the fish. I think there's 5 or 6 fish, but I did 4 of them. And I'm just going to color and kind of put them together just like I did with the boat. Again, Copic markers, really super quick and easy, using some liquid glue and my Pick Pro tool just to kind of put those guys together. So we have this cute little dory fish. We had the other little fish that look like Nemo. And then I'm going to come in and color. Let me come back in with that darker blue. I don't even show you the darker blue lid. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. There's the darker blue lid. And then we've got some black and yellow for this fish. I'm just using a dark gray for the black. And then we have a yellow. I was missing a piece, so I do have to die cut that. But it's for the fin, and so that is going to be another little yellow piece. So I'm going to do that here in just a second. And then we can get that adhered. We've got 2 more fish. We have this fun yellow, white, and black fish, and then kind of a really pretty purple and blue fish. It's very, I almost feel like they're called like angel fish or something like that. I mean, it may not be this particular fish, but it kind of reminds me of something like that. So I'm going to start with that light blue, and then I'm going to bring in some purple and kind of mix that. So we're going to have a very colorful fish tank here. I think this is so darling. Like I mentioned, you could absolutely turn this into a shaker card, but I did not want to. I love that it's recessed back, but you still have a ton of dimension, which I'm going to show you that here in just a minute after we get done coloring this fish and the next one. And I'm just blending that little bit of purple with the blue, and then I can adhere that blue body, and then there is a little eyeball, and I will color that with the dark gray color. And then we can go on to the next fish. I don't even know what this next fish is called, but I love these kind of fish. They're so cute. I need to come back in and color that a darker yellow. And then this piece here is going to be the lighter yellow. So this one has a lot of good layers on this fish here. There's a little fin. And then part of his face, I'm just leaving the cardstock white, and then this part will be colored with a C8 marker, so it's going to be like the black marker, or the black part of the fish, excuse me. And it has a spot and an eyeball that I'm going to color that same with that same C8 marker. And then I can glue this together. So let me get this in place. A little bit of liquid glue and start layering this cute, cute fish. So I didn't show on the video, but I laid out my images first, kind of in the frame, before I decided to glue everything down. I do like to lay things out ahead of time because otherwise I struggle. I can't just put things in place. I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending and Copic coloring on this background. So I ink blended with a little bit of the antique linen that was left on the brush. I did not like it after I colored it with the marker, so then I came back in with a marker and colored those edges. I am taking my darkest marker and just lightly going over and catching the grain from the die cut, because again, it was embossed from the die cutting. It's an etched die. And so that darker marker just kind of catches it, and my marker was kind of dry, so it worked out even better. And then I'm going back over it with a lighter color and then that darker color one more time. So now we have this really beautiful wood grain, but it did not match the sides. So I'm just going to take a marker and just color down the sides really, really quickly. Now I'm going to glue those pieces on. And then I think I'm going to glue this on to the front. No, I have to ink blend the front first. I'm so sorry. Then I used my marker around the edges so I didn't have a ton of white showing. Not that it mattered, but I just thought it would look nice to have that. I don't do that on all of my die cuts, but I felt like it was appropriate for this die cut. So just coloring those edges. Then that front piece that we die cut, that rectangle out, I'm just taking some Saltwater Taffy Distress Oxide ink and just lightly ink blending it. I wanted a completely different color than most of the colors I had going on, although it does kind of match my coral. But I kind of wanted it to fall away, so you just noticed the aquarium. Now I'm going to adhere that frame right on front, and when I tell you it just barely covers it, it just barely covers it. The sides are perfect. The top and bottom, I have to slide that top up just a little bit, and the bottom, you know, it works out really nicely. Now, like I mentioned, I already did my laying out, so now I'm going to start adhering my pieces down. And I want some of these pieces to go beyond the frame just a little bit, so it's kind of out of sight, so it feels like the fish tank is a little bit bigger than what you can see. So I like to do that with my scene cards. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive. I'm adding a 2mm foam adhesive behind this piece of coral. That other kind of seaweed is adhered to the background but goes in front of the boat. I'm going to tuck this coral behind that boat, and then this will be popped up with 2mm foam adhesive. So that's going to give us dimension, because I am going to use 3mm foam adhesive for the whole front panel. So it's going to stick up the furthest, and then everything else is going to fall behind. So I will be adhering things directly to the background using 2mm and 1mm foam adhesive. So see how that is going to fit so nicely. I'm going to slide this guy down just a little bit. And then now I'm going to add my 3mm foam adhesive. I'm going to trim it down because it's a 1-inch wide roll of foam adhesive, and it's just a little too wide. So I'm just going to cut that in half and adhere that to all 4 sides. And this is going to give me plenty of dimension, and then all of my other images will be behind it, even though those will have dimension as well. The boat's really cool because it had dimension just by having so many layers on it. And then of course you have your fish that have dimension as well, but I am going to add some foam adhesive behind those guys. So let's put this in place, and then I can get the rest of my images down. So obviously we've got the fish. I'm going to adhere that little orange fish actually just to the front of that boat. He's perfect. This little guy will have 1mm foam adhesive. And I'm going to kind of tuck him like he's coming from the side. This guy, this fish here, will have 2mm foam adhesive, and then the yellow fish will be adhered just directly to the background. So you have just all different kinds of elevation, and you can see that, you know, some fish look closer to the front, some closer to the back. And then I brought in Honeybee Stamps Reflection Dewdrops. So we're going to have tons of little bubbles from the fish and bubbles kind of all over in the fish tank. And I think these are the perfect finishing touch. And then we can take a look here in just a second at the up close finished card. I love this recessed window. Oh, actually, no, I'm not done. I'm so not with it, you guys. I still have to add a sentiment. So hang on. I say that because usually I add my sequence or whatever before, right at the very end. Okay, stamping the sentiment from the Pet-tastic stamp set, using the coordinating die to die cut it out. I'm so sorry, you guys. It's just one of those days, I guess. This says sending birthday fishes. So super cute. I inked that up with some intense black ink from Honeybee Stamps, and I added 1mm foam adhesive behind that, and I'm going to center that at the top. Now we can take a look at this up close. Look at all that beautiful dimension you get from all of those lovely layers dies and in that perfect recess window. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching and hanging out with me while I don't know what's going on. And I hope you guys have a really wonderful day.